Around the house for many of us. Each Saturday, we like to bring you some hints on household projects you may have in mind. Well, this week, Dale Cranston shows us some of the steps to replacing your toilet.
Okay, what we're going to do today is we're going to put in a new elongated toilet. And we've got a new tile on the floor we laid over the old, and we're going to put it onto our existing flange there. And in here, I've got my different parts that I'm going to need. I've got my Kohler Wellworth elongated toilet with the tank. I've also got, since I retiled the floor, I put in, I'm going to be putting an additional flange on here. My wax ring by which all life passes there, the bolt down kit, the supply tube, and here's maybe some of the other tools that I might be using. I've got my caulking to do the final set, a couple wrenches, and plumber's putty maybe, and let's get started. Okay, next we're going to put in our Easy Snap toilet bolt kit. And I like these because once you get them poked through the toilet, you can basically break these off. And they've got this little nylon holder, so when you put them in your little flange here, you get it in there, and then you, see, that kind of keeps it from pushing down in or something when you go to set the toilet on. Now we're going to put on our wax ring here. And what I do is I just put it right on the bottom there and kind of squish it on. Rather than put it on there, on the flange, we put it right on the bottom of the toilet. So when this thing squishes out, and this is what keeps it from seeping out when you go to flush your toilet. So what we do is we put on that wax ring, and then we're ready to set the base down. We make sure it's on there good and tight. And then we're ready to set our toilet right on these bolts here. Let's see if we can get this one here, first time go. You can kind of check to make sure your bolts are guiding through there. There you go. And then I kind of smash it on there. Okay, here I am. I'm going to put on the plaster attachment for this cover here and the bolt to bolt down the toilet here and get this thing bolted in. Okay, now here we're going to get ready to put the tank on. This shows the three bolts. 3-bolt design is what you want to get, is because a lot of times you have a 2-bolt and it makes the tank rock. So we're just going to set this right up on here. It's got the rubber gasket on it already. We're real careful. We're going to make sure we don't mess it up. Okay, now we're just going to attach it with our nuts and our washers. Nice brass and stainless steel washer there. And I'm going to bolt the back on. Okay, I'm going to attach my supply tube now. I use this, the gray flexible type. And what I'll do is I'll attach it to the bottom where it's supposed to go a little bit, and then I can check my length. So I'll get it here to its location, and I'll see how much I need. And I'll cut it a little bit long because it's flexible, so that so I'm going to cut it here. I see. Alrighty. Alrighty. Now when we go, I can tighten this up a little bit under here. This is the supply area. Tighten it up a bit. Alright, now I'm going to put on the compression nut here and the little collar here to make the compression fitting. I'm going to tighten it right down in our supply. Once we get this tightened down, we should be ready to turn the water on. So we're going to tighten this up. Okay, now we're ready to turn on our water supply and check for leaks. So let's see what we get here. See if we can keep from getting sprayed on here. And it'll fill both here and down in here.
Check for leaks, good idea. More on the movie reviews when we come back.
Wiring the house with different holiday decorations. Well, some things you need to know. Are you a little leery about the electrical thing? Handyman Dale Cranston has some information on extension cords and the difference between cheap ones and not so cheap ones.
During the holiday season, we're plugging in Christmas lights and lights around the house, and we're using a lot of extension cords. And this is like Grandpa's old extension cord here that's real skinny. I think it's like probably 18 gauge or something. And these are now outlawed. The new ones are 16 gauge, 14 gauge, and they're a lot thicker. They can take a lot more abuse. And then this is the big daddy right here. This is like a surge suppressor type that's a good for extending a lot of outlets. Now this one here, the problem with it is it gets all heated up, and well, what happens is people leave it around after Christmas, and the wife plugs the iron into a light bulb or something, leaves the iron on. These cause fires, and that's why they've been outlawed. Okay, so you want to get rid of these. These ones are okay as long as you don't plug in electrical appliances into them, like heaters, like curling irons and toasters and things like that. And so you want to be careful with these too, because these can cause fires if you plug in the wrong thing to them. Notice they're not three-prong plugs, okay? Now this one here, this is the new extension cord that's got three-prong plugs on it. It's for heavy-duty use. You can plug in a lot of stuff. Sometimes go up under the counters in your kitchen there, and you can plug them in or hardwire them in. And what they have is got an on and off switch here, okay? And they also have a circuit breaker on here. So if you overload this, it will trip right here and not cause a problem. So this would be good for that kind of a use. So you want to be having the right extension cord for the right use this year.
Makes sense. As American soldiers head to Bosnia and realize your house isn't exactly in the best shape you want it to be, well, the Wdiv handyman has some tips on how to make your kitchen look its best in a hurry.
This week we're doing a tile backsplash, and I've got our different components right here. We're going to do it over our existing Formica backsplash, and I've got my tiles. Now this is going to be a roping that I'm going to put in, a corner edge here, and I've got my glue and my notched trowel, and it's notched so that when you compress the tile onto the wall, that the glue has some place to go to. And they're kind of peaks so that you can, the tile is peaked on the back so that it can make good contact on with the glue. So here I'm going to place it right here. We'll kind of key it in. Okay, we've gone right over our existing Formica backsplash, and that's fine. This glue is really good, and the wall tile doesn't take a lot of abuse. And I'm going to go over into here, and I've got my float here someplace. Now what we're going to do is we're going to show you how we grout. And now this is a float, how we apply the grout. It's kind of rubbery, soft kind of a surface. This is some grout for, unsanded grout for thin joints. And usually I add a little bit of latex additive to it. And mix it up here in my little container. And I'll scoop it out with my float, okay? And I'll kind of squish it in there real good to get it deep into the joints at a 45-degree angle to the joints. And then this roping here, maybe it's a little bit tricky. And I'll go down all the way along the countertop. In the end, the last bead that happens against the countertop here will have to be recocked, okay, because it'll flex a little bit. But we'll still shove grout in there at this point in time. And I'll let it set for a few minutes, and we'll wipe it up with a sponge or a towel. And there we have it. Nice finished tile backsplash that anyone can do.
He always does make it look easy, you have to admit.
I was going to say, I don't have that much time.
Okay, the bathroom, maybe even the kitchen. If you are thinking of redoing cabinets and drawers in your kitchen, Wdiv's handyman says he's got a couple of inexpensive ideas that will make the kitchen look like you spent a lot of money on it when you're done.
What we're going to do today is we're going to put new cabinets into our kitchen. Now, this is what most people think of cabinets. They think brand new cabinets and boxes. And same with our base cabinet here, with a drawer box down here, and new shelves, tearing out the old. And now, what we've done is this is an unfinished one. Alrighty, but that's a new box because we needed new cabinet space. But let me show you how we can save a lot of money. What we're going to do is, these old cabinets, we're going to use those also. And we're going to be painting the inside and the outside of them, either spray paint or brush. And then we're going to put on nice new raised panel door to match our other new cabinets. That's going to give us this nice European raised panel look. And we're also going to be painting these, and it's going to be for a fraction of the cost. And also, down here on the drawer bases, okay, we've got our drawer here. We've just unscrewed off the old ugly drawer front, and we're going to screw on a raised panel one there. Because these drawer boxes are good. They got good slides, and they're good, solid built, even better than some of the ones we get today. So there we are, and we're going to paint it all up. You know, we're going to have brand new cabinet and a brand new cabinet look for a fraction of the cost.
Looks good. Now listen.
Use your razor knife and kind of create an edge. It doesn't have to be a straight edge. It just needs to cut it and end it there. All righty? Now the other secret to this whole thing is to also prime your patch, prime your damaged area before you patch it. All righty? Because what you want to do is you want to stop the alkaline reaction that's in the plaster, because lime is so strong it's just going to burn right through any kind of traditional patching material. One more crucial part to this whole repair job is using the right joint compound to use it. You don't want to use standard joint compound. You want to use a setting type like Durabond, okay, which is available at any local hardware store or lumber yard. And it's more compatible with the lime in the existing plaster, and it won't burn off. Alrighty, sometimes you'll see the patches that are burning off, these old patches. And what I'm going to do is I use the hawk and trowel and I mix it up. You have to mix this up, it's just going to be powder. I use the hawk and trowel, which is like a plaster method. And we're going to go ahead and make our repair. I'll start with this one, and I'll go back over a second coat with some of my old stuff that I had done a few minutes ago. Finishing the project, we'll put a couple more coats of mud on, smooth it out, and we'll sand it a little bit. Then we'll reprime it again with like a good oil-based primer. And that will seal again the properties, the lime properties that are even in this one. And then we can coat it in the end with latex if you want a good latex.
Fix up the house. Today, for those of you who chose fixing up the house, we begin a 3-part series of remodeling a kitchen, making it look like a showplace on a shoestring budget. Dale Cranston shows us how.
This week we're starting a 3-part series on remodeling or updating a kitchen. And the customer originally had an idea of tearing out this wall, which you can see is already done, and opening up the space, which is great. Then we were going to put in an island, or they were going to put in an island with a cooktop in it, some Corian tops, and rip out all the cabinets and put in all new cabinets. But because of budget restraints and the cost factor and the time factor, they called me up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you can make a showplace kitchen on a shoestring. And let's get busy. All right, these are the cabinets that we're going to be working with here. And the boxes are just fine in here and we're just going to use the same shelves and the adjustable shelves there. And what we're going to do is we're going to replace the doors. And here's a sample of a door here. It's going to be a nice raised panel look here. And there's going to be some real nice shadowing that's going to happen from our lights up above. And then same with the drawer boxes. The drawers seem to be working just fine with some nice slides that may need to be lubed or something. And we're going to put on new drawer fronts, okay, just like this, a raised panel drawer front. Then in the end, what we're going to do is we're going to spray everything. We're going to spray it all a nice almond color. The insides of the cabinets and the insides of the drawers too. And that's going to give us this finished, nice new cabinet look for a fraction of the cost. This is the sink that we've got to get rid of here. And my philosophy is that this is a main focal point, especially with our recessed light that's going to be right above it up there. And we've got to spend money on our sink and faucet. There's no getting away from that. We just want to make sure we spend it on the right sink and faucet. Now, I always use Kohler's cast iron, okay? And this is going to be an almond one. It's a 4-hole sink. We put our faucet on and a soap dispenser, but good heavy-duty cast iron sink, never going to go wrong with it. And this is the Moen Euro spray type of a faucet. And I like Moen's. I've been getting the best performance out of it for the right price. About a $200 faucet here. But the spray comes right out of there, and it's got the spray button on the top here. And I think this is going to be the best choice for our sink this time. All right, this will be our towel backsplash here. Okay, we're going to put it onto our countertop, and then we'll have a roping about it. Oops, I have a roping about it this height right here. And what we're going to use for the countertop is going to be color core Formica countertop, so we won't have this brown edge on here. But we're also going to do a Corian edge. It's going to look like a fancy countertop, again, for a fraction of the cost. And this track lighting has just got to go. It's getting old, it's old-fashioned, it's obtrusive into the design of the kitchen. And what we're going to use is these inexpensive recessed lights from Builder Square. And that way we can put in many of them on our different work areas over the kitchen sink, and it can really give us a lot of dramatic lighting. All right, now in this area and on either side of the fridge, we're going to have to put new cabinets up. And a buddy of mine who builds cabinets in his garage is going to be making them for us. And that's going to take care of these two areas. We just needed to have new cabinets, but we're going to get them for a good price. We're going to match the doors on the other ones. So we're ready to get underway here. And next week, tune into us, and you'll see this work in progress. And you'll be able to see more tips on how to make a showplace kitchen on a shoestring.
Something we can all use in